Okay, we are live. Heather, take it away.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Heather Teplitz, Senior Manager of Exhibits and Sponsorship with the National Apartment Association. Thank you for joining us. The National Apartment Association and the National Suppliers Council have recognized the importance of providing valuable tools and different education programs to all the suppliers and exhibitors for our shows and the industry in general. NAA has partnered for the second year with Tradeshow expert Jefferson Davis with Competitive Edge, who will help prepare us for the upcoming 2012 NAA Education Conference and Exposition and provide us with tools on marketing and other resources. We created the online Exhibitor Resource Center, which is posted on the Industry Supplier Center. The center is a great exhibitor education resource page where you can view webinars, best practices, how-to articles, and additional exhibition industry resources. I highly encourage everyone to access the site, and please bookmark and share with others. Today's webinar is being recorded, and we will upload it on the site a few days after today.
All right, thank you, Heather, and welcome aboard, everybody. I'm really thrilled you took this time out of your schedule. This topic today can make a massive difference in the ultimate results that your company gets from not just the NAA trade show, but all trade shows you do. I want to start off because we're really targeting the salespeople within your company. So I kind of want to get a handle of who's with us today by primary job function. So I'm going to launch a quick poll here. Just check whichever radio dial button applies. If you manage the exhibits for the company and that's your primary job function, click that. If you wear many marketing hats and exhibits is one, click marketing. If you're in sales management, you drive the sales team, click that. If you're a sales rep or account exec for your company, click number 4. And if you're in any other job position, just go ahead and click 5. So help us give a good handle of who all is here today. We've got close to 80% of the votes in, and I'll post the results in a moment so you can see what our group is today. We're pretty close to 90%. Thank you so much for participating in the poll, and let me flash the results for you here. So we've got quite a mix here. 15% of you wear the exhibit manager hat. You know, what you've got to do here, exhibit managers that are on this webinar, is really push the replay of this to your sales team before the show. Because as you'll see in a moment, a lot of salespeople have what I call a perspective problem about trade shows, and we'll get into that. If you're in marketing management, same thing. You know, make sure that you communicate this to the entire team and you're getting your sales team involved to take better advantage of the opportunity. Sales management, absolutely. I would literally view this as a must-view webinar for everybody that's on your sales team if they're ever going to do a show again for your company. And 12% of you are in sales, so those of you who are in sales, thank you for logging on. It tells me that you are paying attention, and I think you're going to really enjoy what we talk about today. And those of you that are in other, again, just make sure that everybody in your company around trade shows, marketing, and sales knows about this webcast and logs in. So I want to start off with a real-world story that is really kind of going to put this in perspective. I was flying to Chicago, okay, going to a major medical show. I was sitting next to the young lady on the plane. Asked her, I said, are you going to the show? She said, I am. I asked her, I said, are you an exhibitor or an attendee? She said, I'm an exhibitor. And I asked her, what does your company do? And they manufacture medical devices. I asked her, I said, how large is your booth? She said, we got a big booth. It's about 50 by 50. Well, quick math tells me in a 50 by 50 booth, we're talking probably $1 million spend. I asked her what she did with the company. She said she was in sales. And I asked her, why are you going to the show? She said, to do her time. Now, I want you to let that one sink in for a moment, to do her time. My first thought was, did you get sentenced? You know, did they give you like a little orange jacket and you're going to have to kind of wear this and walk around the show floor with one of those things and pick up trash? do your time. Now, I want to ask everybody really in this webcast today a very important question. If she sees her purpose as going to the show to do her time, how much value do you think she'll deliver for her company? The answer would be not much, if any at all. Now, if there was a little button on my seat, if we were in a fighter jet and I had an eject button, I probably would have pressed the button and ejected. And, I could blame her, but actually I'm not going to. It points to a larger problem. Nobody's driving the ship. Nobody's guiding the ship in that company. And I will guarantee you that if that's how most of the salespeople view the trade show, they will make an expensive appearance. That company will spend a lot of money. They'll leave it on the show floor. They'll get little or nothing from this big spend. For those of you that have been with me before on webinars and are tuning into my articles and maybe have seen me speaking at Exhibitor Show, seen me around the industry, you know that I absolutely believe that most companies make expensive appearances. You also know that I am all about making trade shows deliver a visible, profitable investment. So it's a difference between making an expensive appearance or making a productive, profitable investment. So everything that we do through this program is designed to guide companies to how to turn trade shows around. So let's talk about salespeople and trade shows. And by the way, it's not that salespeople are bad, because they're not bad at all. The problem is they may have what I call a perspective problem. And the problem is how they see trade shows. And there's a quote that I use a lot is, when you change the way you see trade shows will change for you. And I'm not just talking about you logged in on this webcast in terms of your perspectives, but the entire organization. Anybody in your company that's going to go to NAA, okay, and work that exhibit, how do they see shows? So a lot of salespeople, the first view, the perspective that I hear a lot of is it's an interruption to their field sales activity. They're saying, you're going to pull me out of my territory. You're going to drop me on this cold, hard show floor. You're going to make me stand around here and talk to a bunch of looky-loos, tire kickers, time wasters, people that are not in my territory and people that I have no interest in interacting with. You're basically interrupting my flow, okay? And if that's the perception, you can see there's going to be a real performance problem at the show. Second, as I mentioned in the example, a place to go do their time. Either they got picked or selected or maybe sentenced to do the show, but at the end of the day, they have a get through versus a get from perspective. And those are two completely different perspectives. Third, being sentenced, right? I got sentenced to do this. I didn't volunteer for this. I got kind of put into this. Fourth, hey, it's an escape. Boston's a great city. Boston's a fun city. So I get to escape out of my routine humdrum and go, eat and drink and party and show up the booth, maybe not in the best of condition. So it's an escape to visit a great city and party. Hopefully, the perspective that we want everybody to have is that this is a prime opportunity for your sales team to get more face-to-face interaction in a couple days than they do in months in the field, okay? But they don't automatically get that just by showing up and hanging out, okay? So what we've got to do is each one of us needs to take a very serious assessment of how does our company, what is the prevailing perspective? How does our sales team view our participation in trade shows? And if they view it in any of the 1 through 4, you've got a problem. If they view it as 5, congratulations, okay? So I'm going to give you a lot of content here, A, to help turn this perspective around, but B, also to capitalize on this number 5, this prime opportunity. Okay, so let's step back for a minute here, and I want you to think about your company, and I want you to think about your products, and I want you to think about your services, and I want you to ask yourself a very serious question. How important is face-to-face contact in how you maintain and deepen or expand your existing customer relationships. I imagine most of you would say it's pretty important in terms of holding on to customers and keeping the competition at bay. Do you know there was a trade show study done that found that 86% of the visitors to a given booth had not had face-to-face contact with that company in the last 12 months. Okay, so trade shows are an incredible place and an important place to maintain and expand our existing customer relationships. Second, how important is face-to-face contact in how your company opens doors, builds relationships, and ultimately brings in business? Okay, for most of you, I think I'd be hearing critical. It's critical in how we hold on to, maintain, and expand existing. It's critical in how we open doors and build relationships. Now, if I were to ask your sales management or your sales team, not at a show, but when they're out there in the field on their day-to-day sales practices, are they finding it easier or are they finding it harder to get face time with customers and prospects? What do you think they would tell me? What do you think the answer to that question would be? Okay, I think the answer to all three of these questions would be face-to-face contact is critical in maintaining and expanding customer relationships. It's critical in building relationships that lead to business, and it's harder to get in the field. Okay, so knowing this, it's time for a wake-up. It's time to, ring the clock and get everybody to step back and reevaluate how they're looking at the trade show opportunity. So I'm going to take you into some perspectives here, ways of looking at it, and please follow along with me in the workbook. Take notes on this. Be prepared to share this information so everybody gets this, okay? Do you have any idea what it costs you to put a body in front of a body out in the field? Okay, what does it cost you to generate face-to-face interaction? Well, the most recent study, the CEIR study of 2008 that I found, is $596. So that is to put one person in front of one person out in the field. Now, everyone listening here, if you're flying for appointments and hotel and ground transportation and meals, it's going to be a whole lot more than that. But the average cost of a face-to-face sales call in North America outside of a show is $596. Exhibit Surveys every year does Trade Show Trends Study. The average cost in 2011 to put a body in front of a body on a trade show floor is $261. Okay, are you seeing what I'm seeing here? If you look at these numbers, what is the aha? What light bulb flashes for you? It's that trade shows cut the cost of generating face-to-face contact. Now, hey, whether it is $596, $498, whatever it is, okay, it cuts the cost of putting a body in front of a body, and it does it quite substantially. And that is the first big edge, the financial edge, that I want you to lock and load on, okay? Let's talk about efficiency here, okay? What I call the efficiency edge. Sales managers, we got quite a crew of sales management on this call today. I'd like to ask you, how many on an average day in the field when your sales team works their tail off and has earned their money and goes home tired, how many actual customers or prospects are they standing in front of in a face-to-face situation on an average day in the field? Sales managers, go ahead and write that number down in your workbook. Well, here is the most recent study from the McGraw-Hill research. Average salesperson in North America stands face-to-face with 2.3 living, breathing bodies a day. Well, would you rather have your sales team seeing 2.3 a day or 4 to 5 per hour per person? Okay? Man, tremendous efficiency here if we're prepared to take advantage of it. In fact, I'm going to have you do a quick exercise here in your workbook. Okay, so the National Apartment Association Exposition has 8 exhibiting hours. Now, we're going to call that your playing field. I'm not even counting the golden hours in the morning. I'm not counting the entertaining hours in the evening. I'm telling you that your staff can stand on that floor for 8 exhibiting hours. And if they are interacting with 3 to 5 people on an average hour, which is extremely doable at the NAA Exposition, I'm talking 24 to 40 face-to-face, one-to-one interactions. How long would it take it to get that many interactions in the field? Answer, a long time. Go back to the numbers I told you before. We're talking 20, 30 days, over a month. Now, and that is per salesperson in your company. So sales managers, those of you dialed in, looking at that sales budget and saying, hey, we're behind the 8 ball here, man. We are not up in our sales. We're 10, 15% below our forecast or our budget or our target. Man, make sure your sales team understands the real opportunity that shows present here. More interactions in 8 hours than they see in a month, okay? I can't think of a better use. Let's talk about the compression edge, another research fact and another angle to look at here. The average field sales call takes over 4 face-to-face contacts to bring someone to a buy or no buy decision. The average trade show lead takes 1.6 contacts. Are you seeing what I'm seeing here? Trade shows done properly can shorten or compress the buying and the selling cycle, okay? So you got some tremendous opportunities here in terms of the efficiency, in terms of the financial savings, in terms of the ability to shorten or compress the sales cycle. But there are also dynamics that are at play at a show that are difficult, if not impossible, to replicate in the field. Number one, the prospect, the customer, comes to you. They get on airplanes. They pay registration fees. They get hotel rooms. They come to you. Question, do the dynamics of the interaction change when a prospect or customer comes to you versus you calling on them and going to them? The answer, you better believe it changes. Everything changes, okay? So the dynamics change. Second, with a relatively open mind, okay? When they're back at their offices managing their apartment complexes, do you think they're really sitting around waiting and hoping that your salespeople call on them? The answer, they're not. The truth is, often your sales team is an interruption to their day. But I'm telling you, there's something magical that happens when the doors swing wide open on the NAA Exposition in Boston and they walk onto that floor. That mind that when they're back at their business just trying to get through the day is open, maybe more open than any other point during the year, to new, better, faster, safer, cheaper, more productive, longer lasting. Their mind is more open than possibly at any other point during the year. And you have the chance to get a foot in the door, okay? So the mind is relatively open, and it's on your turf, okay? The magic about the trade show exhibit is that you get to design the experience. You get to influence what they see. You get to design what they do, what questions they answer. You get to design and influence and, to some degree, control all this stuff. So they come to you with a relatively open mind on your turf in an environment hyper conducive to talking and doing business. Do you see why I said a few moments ago it's time for a wake up, and it's time for us to step back and reevaluate how we're looking at this opportunity called exhibiting at a trade show? I'm telling you, gang, you can get more done in a few days at a show than you can in weeks or months in the field if you're prepared to take advantage of it. But if any of those perspectives that I started out with, it's an interruption. I've got to go do my time. I am just going to get through the show versus get from. Then it's not going to happen for you, okay? So we've got to kind of shake up, rattle the cage here a little bit and get everybody to wake up and smell. Well, sometimes I'll say wake up and smell the concrete here, okay? And see, the problem with all this stuff is they don't teach this stuff in school. They don't teach it in universities. 98% of college-degreed marketing professionals did not get a single hour of exhibiting in their curriculum. Okay? And if you think that someone who went to college didn't get much education in it, imagine those who didn't go to college, how much education they got about shows. The answer, little to none. All right, so let's go to the next piece of the puzzle here, okay? If you are going to make your trade show be a productive, profitable investment versus an expensive appearance, first of all, you got to get clear about what you're really buying is face time. Okay, it's all about face, one. Second, you got to view it as an investment, not an expense. Okay, investment, not an expense. You're buying face, you're making an investment. Third, you got to move from logistics to strategy. A lot of us are caught in what I call the logistics trap. Here's what it means. Get to space, get to booth, get to products, get to literature, book the air, book the hotel, ship the stuff in, get it set up, get it torn down, get it back home, and do all that on time and on budget, and we call that pre-show planning. I don't call that pre-show planning. I call that dealing with logistics. Now, you have to deal with the logistics. I'm telling you, though, if you want to make trade shows pay big time, you've got to get strategic. So these are the 5 critical exhibiting success factors that constitute the strategic side of exhibiting. Number 1, outcomes. Here's the question. Write this question down, by the way. Everybody, you want to hear one of the best questions you could ever ask about a trade show? Here it is. When the doors close on the NAA Exposition, 90, 180 days after the show, how will we know we succeeded? I'm telling you, less than 1 out of 10 companies asks that question and then has a thoughtful answer and plans backwards from the outcome. Okay? So in the area of sales, in the area of marketing, in the area of product management, in the area of customer relationship management, in the area of recruiting, in the area of competitive research, when the doors close, 90, 180 days after the show, how will you know you succeeded? If you have an answer to that is planned, communicated, executed, and measured back to, you are in the top 10% of exhibitors in America. If you don't, you just heard the fast track on how to turn your trade show program around. Okay, second key. We can't just rent space and throw our booth out there and stand around and hope that people, A, come to the show, B, get on the exhibit floor, C, pass our booth, D, something grabs their attention and makes them want to stop. Attraction is the second critical success factor, and that will be the central theme for the rest of today's webcast. Identify and attract enough of the right people to your exhibit. Now, by the way, on this topic, last year we did a webcast called State-of-the-Art Exhibit Marketing. That, if you have not viewed that, I would put that down as one of your critical must-dos as fast as you possibly can. It is on the NAA Exhibitor Resource Center. You can click. You don't have to sit and listen to the whole thing. You can grab the little bar at the bottom and drag it to wherever you want to go. It is a must-view. Third is the experience. The experience really constitutes the exhibit, your booth staff, and your product or service presentation or demonstration. Okay, and there's some good articles up on the NAA Resource Center which will guide you through more effectively managing the experience. Okay? Fourth, follow through. For too many exhibitors, when the doors close, the show is over. For the highly successful exhibitor, the real work begins. They realize that everything they've done in the pre-show planning and marketing stage and everything they've done at the show in terms of the exhibit and the staff and the product demonstration has brought them to this critical place called the post-show phase. So we follow through, okay, meaning that we take all these interactions and all these leads and we follow them through until they either buy from us or they tell us they're never going to buy, okay? And we have a closed-loop lead management system that helps us do that. That is another webcast topic that is up on demand on, no, I'm sorry, that one's coming up on May 2nd. Jot your calendar down for that. We're going to do a webcast on May 2nd called State of the Art Lead Management, which will be all about improving the quality of the leads, developing your follow-up system, and converting a lot more leads to sales. And number 5, measure, okay? What are we measuring? We're measuring our goals and what progress we made, and we're measuring our return on investment. So we're really measuring ROO and ROI. And again, we got just a couple good articles up on the Exhibitor Solution Center, Resource Center for that. Okay, so let's jump into this attraction. I have this in red for many reasons. One, this is an area that a lot of exhibitors struggle with. And 2, this is an area that your sales team can really help your company out with if they have a plan. Okay, so let's get into this whole experience game. Okay, I got to warn you here. I've been around the trade show game now since 1985. I'm basically a self-admitted trade show junkie. I'm on a 12-step program. I'm 11 steps there on trade shows. And I tell you, there have been more changes over the last 10 years in how the buyers and the attendees are approaching shows, and the average exhibitor is not aware of these changes and has not adapted their exhibiting strategy. Let me point out a few of these changes. Number 1, they're spending fewer days at the show. It doesn't mean they don't value shows, but most of them are running on lean staffs and they have less time to be out of the office. So instead of spending 3.5 days at the show, the average attendees dropped it down to anywhere from 2 to 2.5. Okay, so fewer days at the show. So that's creating time pressure and poverty for them at the show. In response to that, 76% of attendees are pre-planning their visit. They know before the wheels ever touch down in Boston. They know what educational sessions they're going to attend. They know what social events they're going to go to. They know where their blocks of time on the exhibit hall are. They have a hit list of what exhibitors they want to see, what questions they want to ask, what information they want to capture, what projects they're trying to influence. They're pre-planning their visit. Okay? 3 out of 4 attendees. Please note this number because this is critical. The days of the attendee just milling up and down, leisurely scrolling every aisle and every nook and cranny and just falling into booths at random are over. Okay? The average attendee will stop and cross the carpet line of about 26 to 31 exhibits on average. Some more, some less. That is the average. Listen to this next one. 50% of their stops are pre-planned. You starting to see a pattern here? I want everybody that's logged in to look at these 4 facts, and I want you to start to really process what's going on here. So we've got a better prepared attendee who's arriving with an agenda. Half of their exhibit stops are pre-planned. What do you think your goal should be between now and when you get to Boston? Here it is. Get in the mind, get on the agenda of enough of the right attendees before you ever get to Boston. That is what the top 10% of exhibitors are doing. Those 10% of exhibitors are getting 80% of the results from trade shows. That's the hunt you're on between now and showtime. Who are the right people? How much is enough? And what can you do, you and your sales team, putting them to work too, okay, so you arrive in the mind and on the agenda. I would stop this webinar right now and say, if I didn't tell you anything else but said that is your mission and you took that to heart and went to work, you would have one of your best trade shows in your company's history. Okay? So let's take a peek in the question queue here. It looks like we've got a question in right now on what was the video recommended on the Online Resource Center. There were 2 of them recommended, actually. One of them was state-of-the-art exhibit marketing, which will walk you through an 8-step planning process of how to identify and attract enough of the right. The other was lead management, which is coming up. Lead management webinar is coming up. That'll be coming up on May 2nd. Okay? So I'm going to jump back in, and by the way, fire away with questions. At any moment something flashes into your mind, type that question, press send, and so I keep us on track here. I'm going to keep moving forward. All right, here we go. Grab your pens and get ready to follow this one. This is a game changer. As a consultant and trainer, I have helped my clients pull combined over $500 million of results off trade show floors. And I'm going to tell you, the CPS triangle is at the centerpiece of a lot of these results. So let's take a look at the triangle. The base of the triangle I have in red. I have that in red because it is critical, it's urgent, and you better pay attention to this one. Customers, okay? Start with, you should never go into a key show like the NAA Exposition without reaching out and touching your customers, whether you think they're coming or not, okay? And I'll explain that more in a few moments. But we start with our existing customers. Next side of the triangle is in green. And I have that in green because that's the money. Quick cash is lying here for every exhibitor on this webcast today. It is prospects, okay? People that you are already in the sales cycle with. So I'm going to talk about the objectives for this group and how to really make magic happen over here. The other side of the triangle in blue. Blue is cold. I have it because you have no meaningful dialogue with these people yet, so we're going to call them suspects. You suspect that they might be interested in knowing about what you do. Okay, so, and what you want to do here, depending on where your company is, if you're a brand new company just entering the apartment marketplace and you only have a few customers, your big weighting, 80% of your effort might be on suspects. But on the flip side, if you're a very established company with big market share, you might be spending 70% of your time on the customer side of your triangle. I encourage you to broaden your perception and look at all three sides. Okay, so here's a plan that can help us get a whole lot more, okay? 8 weeks before the show, ask everybody on your sales staff to make a list of X number. It can be 5, 10, 15, whatever it is, customers, prospects, and suspects. And you want to have them submit that list, okay, to exhibit and marketing management. Second, for each name, specifically the customer prospect group, determine where they are in the relationship, meaning what's going on with this customer, and if it's a prospect, where are we in the sales cycle, and have them set a specific, either an objective for the interaction or an outcome for the interaction. And I'll talk about those different objectives and outcomes in a moment. Third, you want each of your reps to execute a personalized, multi-touch, multimedia campaign to get a commitment for an interaction at the show. That's the 30,000-foot level view of the strategy here, which will fill your booth with qualified visitors, okay? Important, high-value interactions. So when you run this campaign, there are 3 levels of commitment that you're looking for. The first level is a confirmed appointment, meaning we're going to meet on a specific day, a specific time, specific place. Tuesday at 2:15 p.m. in our booth. And they agree to that meeting. Next is a verbal commitment where the person says, I definitely want to see you while I'm at the show, but I can't really lock down a day and time right now. So it'll probably be on that first exhibit day or that second exhibit day. The thing is here, the person made a verbal commitment, but they didn't lock into a specific day or time. The third level is no commitment. I'm interested. I'll kind of drop by the booth if I have the chance. So what you're going to want your reps doing when they're running the CPS model and using their list is to document each name on their list, what level of commitment they were able to get with that person prior to the show. Okay? All right, so let's focus on customers here. You're already doing business with them. Here are 4 possible objectives, and there's more, but these are 4 big ones here. Number 1, relationship management. This is the place that you are, figuratively speaking, going to throw your arms around them and tell them how much you appreciate them. Every moment a customer is with your company, they can't be where? That's right, with the competition. okay? And many of you have not had FaceTime with these customers for a while, and it would be a really good idea to take advantage of the show to do that. Next, cross-selling. You know, some of you listening have multiple products and multiple services, and yet your current customers see you for only one of those. So maybe you're going to set the objective to increase customer awareness about the other products and services you offer. Maybe add-on or upselling, okay? Add-on, maybe right now you are only doing services for 50% of their properties. So you're looking to expand and get more of their properties, okay? So think about it that way. Advocacy, I'll bet you have customers that would sing your company's praises from the highest mountains. Wouldn't it be a good idea to get them to the show and to get them around your booth? It would be a really good idea. So as you think about these customers that you're going to attract to the show, okay, you want to think about which one or combination of these objectives should we be focusing on. But here's the key. Every customer interaction should have an objective. It's not just, hi, how's the wife, how's the kids, how you been? You can do that anywhere, okay? It's more than that. So I want you to think in terms of what are. And some of you, I can hear the wheels turning right now. Some of you are saying, hey, Jefferson, seriously? You're asking me to invite my customer to the show? And my answer is that, yes. Absolutely yes. Here's why. If they end up at that show because of an invitation from a competitor and you did nothing to communicate with them prior to the show, you're going to have problems, okay? And a lot of customers today are using trade shows to revalidate existing buying relationships. They're asking, are you still the best overall quality, price, value, service choice? They're using trade shows to revalidate. Here's my rule. Never go into a key trade show without reaching out and touching all of your customers that are relative to that marketplace and that geographical area. If you don't, you leave the doors wide open for the competition, okay? That's why I have this in red, okay? Now this advocacy thing, strategic pairing, is the idea of matching advocate customers with prospects who are deep in the sales cycle and or suspects, high-level suspects that you want to meet. So let's move to prospects here. You have one goal. There's really one key objective, one key outcome for a prospect meeting. Move or advance them to the next step in your sales cycle. For example, maybe there's a capability that you have not been able to physically demonstrate because of cost, time, whatever limitations. What a great place to do it. Maybe there's an outstanding question or an issue about the viability or how good of a fit you are for their company. Maybe you're selling to a team and you haven't met all the influencers. Matching these people up with an advocate customer could be a really, really good objective, okay? So again, here's what I want your staff to do. I want them to take prospects that are in the sales pipeline and ask, where are we in the sales cycle with this prospect? How could we best use the show to move them one step closer, possibly number 5 here, closing the order, okay? Literally closing the order, okay? So let's go to our third group, suspects. A suspect is a company, type of company, and a job function and title, and in a geographical area that you would call a match. This is the kind of company that you suspect could be buying from you, okay? You have one primary objective with suspects: open the sales door. There's an old saying that I've heard in sales that I like. It says, one foot in the door is better than 2 on the desk. Okay? So what a great place to kind of have that face-to-face meeting and that meeting of the minds and get that person to like your people and be willing, therefore, to engage after the show. And so remember, this is a profile match, but you have no meaningful dialogue. Your goals here are to make a strong initial contact, so this person likes you and wants to carry on a dialogue. Your salespeople must sell themselves. Where I'm comfortable with this person, I like this person, I'm interested in talking with them again. They must also sell your company in terms of getting the person to go, yeah, you guys sound like the kind of company that I would consider doing business with. And what they really have to do with suspects is get a firm commitment in the booth to a physical next action step. Okay? So there you go. Prospect, suspect, customer. 8 weeks before the show, or wherever you are, have your sales team create a list, set goals for each, have your sales team have at least 3 contacts with each. Now, you have a lot of these lists. You have customer and prospect lists already. I hope you're using them. I'm amazed at how few companies actually do use them well for shows. But you're on this webinar, so I know you're going to be. So let's take a look at a great suspect list for you. Okay, NAA makes available the pre- and post-show attendee list. Okay, so you can get the pre-registered attendee list. Hey, and by the way, you want to know what percentage of companies rent pre-registered attendee lists? It's less than 5%. I'm telling you that 95% of the exhibitors at NAA will not rent the pre-registered attendee list. I'm telling you a success rule I picked up early on. Find out what the average is doing and don't do it. You know, the 95% that are exhibiting by hope, showing up and hoping, are struggling. Man, you got the pre-reg list available, okay? It comes to you 4 weeks before the show. And check this out, gang. This one really surprised me when Heather told me this. It has name, title, company name, address, and look what else it has, email address. You know how hard it is to get email addresses today? You know how few shows give them? You get it with a pre-reg list, man. That is powerful. And the cost is like ridiculously cheap. We're talking like, if you're a member, it's 40 cents a name. If you're a non-member, it's 80 cents a name. Now I want each of you to stop and ask yourself, what is one single customer worth to your company cost-wise? And I want you to ask, would you be willing to invest 40 to 80 cents per name for the chance to bring in a or many customers? The answer to that question is, duh, of course. Get the list, okay? Be one of those 5% that are getting and using the list. Now, if you're a National Supplier Council member, it's free for you. It's comp, okay? So this is where you would want to build your suspect list. You already have customer names. You have them. They're yours. You already have your prospect names. Fill your suspect pipeline with this list. For information on this list, visit the exhibitor marketplace on the website. It's my sincere hope that every exhibitor that's on this webcast uses this list. And again, this has nothing to do with NAA and put money in their pocket. It has everything to do with you getting enough of the right people to your booth, okay? So let's the 8-week game plan. Let's break this thing down now and give you some real hard ground to run on here, okay? Weeks 7 and 8, you're going to want to be putting together your customer, prospect, suspect lists. You're going to want to be setting those specific objectives for customers and prospects. Weeks 6 through 8, you're determining what media you're going to use. Okay, and by the way, when I'm doing direct marketing for shows, my favorite media is one-to-one. So I will use a combination of mail, email, and telephone. Okay, and I'm going to try to land at least 3 to 5 hits with them leading up to showtime using a combination of media. I'm also going to prepare my messaging. You know, you got to give them a good reason to come by and see you. They're not going to show up just because you sent them an invitation. What will they learn? What will they gain? What will they save? What will they avoid? Okay, learn, gain, save, avoid. Make that when you think about messaging. Okay. Number 4, personal letters of invitation. Hey, you want to make sure someone gets your letter? You want to make sure someone opens it? I got 2 words for you. FedEx. Okay. Some of you are saying, come on, Jefferson, seriously? I'm going, absolutely. Question, does all first-class mail get opened? Answer, no. Question, do all FedExes get opened? Answer, yeah. Now, you might be saying, man, but that's going to cost me $18 to $20. Well, again, consider the value of the individual as you determine your spending. Hey, you don't want to do FedEx? Ratchet it down to express mail. That'll be about $10. Don't want to do express mail? Step down to priority mail, $5. Okay? court of last resort, first-class mail. But again, better to do that than some. Personal letter of invitation will have a one-page cover letter. It will have a reward for responding, which I'll talk about, and it will request an appointment at your booth. Okay. Now, in weeks 3, 2, and 1, you're sending follow-up emails. So I would like to see the personal letter of invitation arrive about 4 weeks before showtime. Then they get a reminder email at week 3. Okay. Week 2, pick up the phone and start calling. You might say, Jefferson, I don't have phone numbers for the people on the list. Well, if you spend a little time on the internet, you can get phone numbers for anybody that you need or want. How about just go to Google and put in their name, okay? Again, you can't get the phone numbers through NAA. They're not available right now. But you certainly can run them down, and it certainly would be smart money. And then that last week prior to the show, a reminder email. So again, my campaign would look like this: a FedEx invitation to 25 to 50, a priority mail invitation to another 25 to 50. If you wanted to test which of these carriers got the highest response rate, that would be a way to test this too, okay? Split your media. And then I want to capture on my appointment device, what I'll put in with my letter of invitation is a, give us just 5 minutes to discuss this or that. And I would list the show days and hours and who's at the booth. And then I would have a space on there for them to write in their cell phone number. I should already have their email address. On the opening day of the show, I would be deploying reminder texts and or cell phone calls. Hey, don't forget, you got an appointment today at 2:15 to discuss this at booth 2484. Pick up cell phone and call them. Show them you're serious, man. Very few exhibitors are doing this focused and this targeted of a campaign. So here's some best practices as we start to wind this down. Number 1, shows in Boston. You really should be looking very carefully at anybody in that northeastern corridor that you have, are, or would want to do business with, and I'd be putting them on the list, okay? Try hard, okay, to get email addresses. NAA makes it easy. You get email address with pre-reg, but try hard to get cell phone numbers and certainly phone numbers too, okay? Third, remember your messaging. You're going to have to give me a reason beyond just to come spend 5 minutes with you. What am I going to learn? What problems are you going to solve? How are you going to help me keep up with things? How are you going to help me avoid falling behind? How are you going to help me seize an opportunity that I may or may not know exists? That's what your invitation messaging needs to be about. It's not just, hey, visit booth XXX to pick up your free whatever. Then you'll get freebie seekers. Again, I talked about the importance of using FedEx and Priority Mail with all of them. Not all of them. Some, yeah, must-see visitors, okay? The reward for responding. Let's talk about that for a moment. If you were to mail out invitations and request for appointment or a verbal commitment and you got a 20% response, if you were to put some form of a, hey, bring this by the booth, or, oh, by the way, when you set your appointment, we'll have this for you, you'd get an incredible reward. I just did a campaign with a client at a trade show in Atlanta where we were basically taking the theme that the future's so bright with our product, you're going to have to wear shades. We Federal Expressed a letter of invitation with a request for appointment. In the FedEx package, we had an empty sunglass case holder. At the booth were the sunglasses. That campaign got a 57% response. And if you know anything about direct marketing and response rates, you're probably choking right now going, that is a high response. So think about your reward for responding. I was with another client a few weeks ago out in Las Vegas at a show where we did a casino chip, where we said, hey, bring this by. We sent a mock casino chip. We said, bring this by and set through our 7-minute presentation on patient portal software. And when we're done, you can draw from the bag. We have casino chips in there valued from $5,000 to $1,000. The response rate on that was almost 40%. Okay, so your reward for responding, but listen carefully here. You want the reward to be the secondary reason for response, not the primary reason, okay? Make sure that everything that you mail and send and call, that there's immediate linkage to the show, okay? That the show name is on the envelope, the show name is in the subject line of the email, the show name is in the opening paragraph of the letter, the show name is on the outside of the envelope. Okay, it's because the way they sort their incoming mail and emails is they recognize the show name. So you can leverage the incredible brand reputation that NAA has built by making sure that the show name is on it. Now you can also download and use the NAA logo you're seeing in the upper right of the screen. So put it on your marketing materials, okay? All right, let's open it up for questions. We are about out of time here, but we have covered quite a bit of ground here. So let me take a peek, see what we've got going on. Here we go. We got a lot of questions coming in. Good, good. And for those of you who can't hang around for the Q&A portion of this, I want to thank you for logging in. Just want to ask one favor, two favors. One, that you share this information with everybody on your team. And two, you'll get a Zoomerang survey in about 10 minutes after this. Please give us your feedback on that. And finally, make sure that you log in and take advantage of all the cool stuff that NAA makes available to you on the Exhibitor Resource Center. Okay, here we go. Question and answer. Are there any new trends with booth giveaways? Well, what's hot right now in booth giveaways is anything technology related, specifically the iPads. The problem with that, though, is that everybody's using them. The best advice that I could give you on a giveaway would be the companion approach, where you send them half of something, the other half is at the booth, i.e. the sunglass case with the glasses at the booth, the pen and pencil set where the pen's at the booth. Think in terms of that. It might be as simple as, you know, I've seen a company use the Dr. Scholl foot pads, where they sent one prior to the show and then they had the other one at the booth. So in terms of new trends, what's hot then would be half of something. The other thing is hot is gift cards of a mystery value. For example, like you would send a card up front, say, hey, bring this card by the booth to be activated. It might be worth anywhere from $10 to $100. That's pretty hot in giveaways too. Personalized giveaways. Here's a great one where you sent a business card holder, bring this by the booth to have your name engraved. So think about that as a way. So there's you go on. What I would suggest, those of you that are interested in giveaways, Google PPAI, the Promotional Products, and PPIA it might be, Industry Association or Association Industry. Promotional Products Industry, essentially. Google that. They keep the latest research on what's hot, what's selling, and everything else. Okay? Question. Are email blasts successful in driving traffic to the booth? In and of themselves, as a standalone, not so much. The problem is we're all getting too much email today. Now, that being said, I do think email should be part of your campaign. I think two things. One, you should have NAA in the subject line of the email, okay? And think of your subject line as a headline, okay? So 90% of the effectiveness will be, so it might say something like this: NAA, discover the 5 biggest maintenance problems that apartment contractors are having today. Find solutions to the 5 biggest So you see what I mean? Your subject line needs to be more than just visit. You know, it can't say NAA visit booth 2112, okay? That's not going to work. Personalization and the ability to drop people's names into does help with that too, okay? What kind of sunglasses, the question asked. They were a pretty nice pair. They actually looked like almost like the aviator, the pilot type sunglasses. Hey, the thing with rewards, consider the value of your customer and don't do this on the cheap. Hey, if a customer is worth $25,000 a year to you in revenue, would you be willing to drop $50 to $100 to the chance to get that customer to your booth? My answer would be in a New York minute, okay? So think in terms of quality. Okay, and so that's what I've got for questions right now. This will be your chance. If there are any further questions left, go ahead and fire away. I'm going to close up the queue for the moment, and if not, then I definitely want to thank you for logging in. I hope you picked up some really good ideas here. I promise you that if you will take this CPS, this 8-week Customer Prospect Suspect plan, and get your sales team out on the front line working this, your booth will be filled with the right customers the right prospects, and the right suspects, and you'll end up having one of the best shows in your company's history. So with that, I will toss it back to Heather for closing comments from NAA. Heather?
Thanks, Jefferson. And again, thank you to everyone for joining us. And Jefferson, thank you for your time. This has been great, and I think a lot of people are going to leave with very useful information. Please everyone take advantage of the Exhibitor Resource Center. It can be found under www.naahq.org/suppliers. It's up there for everyone's benefit. So thank you.
All right, thanks for logging in, everybody. This concludes today's webcast. We'll see you on May 2nd for State of the Art Lead Management.